Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Christina Kinney, and I'm one of the International Student Advisors here at Kutztown University. Today's topic we're going to be discussing is Curricular Practical Training, or CPT. This presentation is intended for international students on an F visa. If you have any questions after reviewing this recorded webinar, I encourage you to email international@kutztown.edu so that a team member can respond. If you have already watched our on-campus employment webinar, then you know that F visa students are only permitted to work on campus. But you may have heard about some students working off campus. So how can this be? Well, with special approval, an F student can work off campus using one of their visa benefits called Curricular Practical Training. CPT is an internship that allows you to gain work experience off campus in your field of study that helps you make progress towards completing your degree. So, what is the main criteria for CPT? CPT work authorization must be an integral part of an established curriculum. And there are two scenarios or types of CPT that can meet this criteria. The first is where the internship is required of all degree candidates in the program. Now, that's something that only a few number of programs may have available, and we don't really see that often. The second is where the internship is an integral part of your established academic curriculum. In this type, you must be registered for an academic course corresponding to the work you're doing in the internship, and you must earn academic credit. Okay, so eligibility requirements. CPT is only available to students in valid F1 status, and you have to be enrolled full time while physically present in the United States for at least one academic year or two consecutive semesters. There is an exception for graduate students if their degree program requires immediate participation in an off campus internship or practicum. Students must have had declared in a major and be in good academic standing. This means an undergraduate must have at least a 2.0 GPA and a graduate student must have at least a 3.0 GPA. You must already have a job offer for an internship related to your major. And finally, you must be registered for a course if your CPT type requires one. What is the process to apply for CPT? First, you want to get your official job offer letter and complete the first half of the CPT request form. That form then goes to your academic advisor, who completes the form and indicates the type of CPT it is and provides the course that you should be registered for if applicable. Then you're going to submit the job offer letter and the CPT request form to the international office, and a designated school official or a DSO will approve your CPT. If you're eligible for CPT, they will issue you an updated Form I-20 with CPT authorization. The next two slides review some important information you should know about CPT. The first is you cannot begin working your CPT internship until it's been approved and you have your updated Form I-20. Things to consider when applying for CPT is the future implications of participating on CPT. If you complete 12 months of full-time CPT, you will lose benefits for optional practical training, which is a type of off-campus work authorization students can do before or after graduation. You should also keep all documentation related to CPT. Maybe someday you're going for a green card or applying for H-1B or some other type of status. You may be required to submit CPT documentation for CPT you did as a student. And so that's why it's important that if it's something part of your program, we want to make sure all of the documentation proves that you are participating in approved CPT. CPT can be part time or full time, but only full time CPT when classes are not in session. This would be a winter term or summer term. CPT can be paid or unpaid, and I'll describe that in more detail in the following slides. CPT start and end dates should be within the semester or term the student is registered for their course. If your CPT is longer than one semester, you will need to reapply for the next term. If the type of CPT requires it, you must be enrolled in the approved course for each approved CPT authorization. Finally, CPT cannot be granted if employment is optional. Even though the employment may be a good opportunity for you and provide valuable work experience, if it does not fulfill a degree requirement, it does not qualify for CPT, and you must look at optional practical training pre completion as an alternative. There is a common misunderstanding about the immigration related differences between an employee and a volunteer. This leads many students to ask us, hey, if I'm not getting paid, why do I need to apply for CPT? Well, it's because unpaid work may still be considered employment, and employment is restricted for international students. So, an employee is an individual who provides their services or their labor for an employer to receive wages or other types of remuneration, such as free housing or discounted housing, maybe a discounted meal plan, or other gifts. A volunteer is an individual who performs certain hours of service specifically for civic, charitable, or humanitarian reasons with no expectation or receipt of any type of compensation for their services. Does that mean international students can't volunteer? No, actually, international students can volunteer. And there's just some things that we have to be careful and aware of for approving that. One, there can be no expectations of compensation of any type. If you are not replacing a true employee or doing work that a paid employee provides, and if the services are specifically for a nonprofit organization with a mission towards public service, charitable, religious, or humanitarian objectives. However, you should always check with the international office before volunteering, just to make sure that you're not unintentionally violating your immigration status. This next section will review how to apply for a social security number and a card. Our website has all of the information on this slide and instructions in much more detail. You will first need to collect several documents, including your employment offer letter or contract. You will need to request an enrollment verification letter from the international office. And then you'll need to prepare copies and or originals of several other documents. You must be in the US at least 10 days before you can apply for a Social Security number. And you also need to be registered in CVIS for the current term. There are two Social Security offices that you can choose from. One is in Reading, which is a little closer to campus, and one is in Allentown, which is a larger city that might have more experience with international students. You must complete the Social Security application and make an in person appointment at one of those two locations. At your appointment, you will learn the outcome before you leave. They will let you know if you are missing a document and need to return, or if you've been approved. You will receive your Social Security card in the mail about 14 days after your appointment. So pay close attention to what address you're using on your application. Sometimes our office and staff recommend that you just use the address of our office, and we can provide you your Social Security card upon arrival. Human Resources Office at your employer may need to see the physical copy of the card before you can start employment. Just some final notes on Social Security. A Social Security number is not work authorization. The number is only used for tax purposes within the United States. You must store your Social Security card in a safe place, just like you do your passport and other immigration documents. There may be other requirements you need to complete before starting employment, such as payroll paperwork. So ask your supervisor what you need to do. To request an enrollment verification letter, email the international office and send a copy of your employment offer letter. Our staff will then prepare the letter and notify you when it's ready to pick up.